Hey everybody, Adam here for True North Wilds with a very special March unboxing. I'm going to take the three companies that I subscribe to, I'm going to take the three boxes that I get, and I'm going to compare them in this video. I'm going to open up all three here, we're going to take a look, and we're going to just see how they stack up to each other. I have here the Simple Fishing RLM Elite box. It's currently on pre-order. They start coming out in April, so you can pre-order yours now, and you'll start receiving it in April. They come out every 2 months. LuckyTackleBox.com to get the Lucky Tackle Box. I get the Bass box here. Oh, and this Elite box is a multi-species. I get the Bass box for the Lucky Tackle Box. LuckyTackleBox.com, you can check yours out there. They got a variety of species as well. And the Mystery Tackle Box Pro walleye species specific box is the one that I get. And again, multiple choices there. You can choose walleye, bass, panfish, a variety of different things. And you can check them out at MysteryTackleBox.com. So, what I'm going to be looking for in these boxes, obviously there's a little bit of a size difference. Lucky Tackle Box is slightly smaller than the Mystery Tackle Box, which is smaller by far than the RLM Elite Box. So I'm not going to be looking too much at the size of them because there's slightly different prices for the box that you get. Obviously the bigger the box, the more you pay. What I'm going to be looking for is the value of each one. So for the amount that I pay for the subscription plus the shipping to get these boxes from the States, are they a good value for me up here in Canada? Quality of the lures, the variety of the lures, companies that I haven't seen before, is it going to introduce me to new lures, that sort of stuff. I'm going to be looking at how well they perform their function. So this is a bass box. I'm going to be looking at, does it give me a lot of good bass lures? Am I going to be able to catch bass with the stuff that I get out of this box? Am I going to be able to catch walleye with the stuff I get out of the walleye box? And then the multi-species box. Is it going to give me enough variety that I can go out and catch multiple species around here where I fish? So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, open these up, and let's start comparing them. I'm going to go in order from smallest to biggest for no particular reason. So I'm going to open up the Lucky Tackle Box first. Opening up the Lucky Tackle Box. So they come pretty good, fancy packaging with paper and everything. They got your promo cards, stickers. Right off the bat, I can smell garlic out of this box. It's pretty strong. I'm assuming I'm going to have some scents in here. Sure enough. Liquid Mayhem. So Liquid Mayhem is a scent. It's an attractant that I've actually used before. I've used the walleye one before, and it was interesting. It seemed to work well. It's hard to tell with liquid scents whether they're actually working or not, just because there's so many variables when you're fishing in the water, and each fish is going to be a little bit different. They seem to work, so that's pretty cool. And this one is a very strong garlic scent. Yeah, that is definitely what I smell when I open up the box. Some basic hooks. So I got some Kirby hooks, Mustad brand Kirby hooks. Clear Lake lures. So there's not a lot of info on this one. So this is a nice color on this. So this is a nice big profile. It's got that big, big body shape and then the narrow tail. It's got this deep diving lip. It's got a big thumping lure in there. You can probably hear it. So that's good. Lots of sound in there. I think that'll work pretty well for smallmouth bass around here for sure. Whistler jigs from Northland Fishing Tackle. I'm familiar with these. These are a nice, just a nice jig head, and they got those blades on there. It just gives some vibration through the water. So you'd throw on a minnow, you'd throw on a worm here. You'd get that vibration of the blades through the water. Good for jigging, and retrieving it works out pretty well too. Rage Trail, Strike King Rage Tail with exclusive coffee scent. Oh, I gotta check this out. Ooh, yeah, that does smell like coffee. That's interesting. So that's, I think, the first bait that I've gotten that actually has a coffee scent. That's kind of neat. So these are cool. I really like the color on these. These are a fairly large, soft plastic. They got the big, long, twisty tail, and you see they got the feet, the front feet. They sort of look like a salamander, a lizard of some sort. You can see they're fairly long, stretchy, really good solid plastic here. If you can see the colors there, I'm not sure how well they'll show up, but they got really good red sparkle in there and just fantastic coloration. So that'll attract smallmouth bass here for sure. That is a very popular color, or for me anyway, it's a color that I rarely strike out with. So good shape. You'd throw that on a jig, you'd throw that on some sort of a rig and drag it through the bottom, through the weeds. I'm happy with that. I like those. I really like that shape. I really like that color. Or anything Doomsday Roku or Bama Bug. It's one of those. So this is a nice Senko worm, which I have a lot of luck with this style of lure. I have a lot of luck using worms like this. And this is a good length for it. It's good firm plastic. The smallmouth bass around here, I've caught in a lot of master anglers on worms like this. Usually just a jig because I'm kind of lazy that way. And just bounce them along the bottom, and they'll just bounce along the bottom like that, and the smallmouth bass come and gobble these up. I definitely see myself catching lots of bass on these, and it's a nice big package too. It comes with 8 of them, so you get a good amount in that package. That is my lucky tackle box for the month. That is the bass box, so I'm pretty happy with that. I got a lot of good bass lures. I think jig heads with the propellers on them, I don't have a ton of luck with getting bass, but I have used them and I have caught, so nothing technically wrong with that. The hard bait that I got, this deep diver, will work really well. Balancing that off the rocks and bottom, I'm sure, is going to work really well. The liquid scent, can't complain there, like I said. It seems to work well when I've used it before. So all in all, pretty decent box, and I think it'll be effective for the smallmouth bass around this area. So moving on to the Mystery Tackle Box Pro Walleye species-specific box. Going to go ahead and open this up, and we'll see how this compares, the quality of everything, and if it's going to be effective. All right, Mystery Tackle Box Pro, what have you got for me? Wow, that is cool. XRM something or other, XRM series. Oh, the color is Ghost Rainbow Trout. So this is from Reaction Strike brand lures, and it's the XRM series. Let's open this up so I can show you. You can see it's a very clear sort of color. That's probably why they call it a ghost. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the line of pink in there or the line of purple that runs down the middle. But you can see it's got spots all over it. It's got that nice green color on the top. It's got the nice purple, pink line down the middle. And you can probably see it's got these big ball bearings inside. I suspect I will catch more pike on this than walleye, but the walleye do love that purple color. So anything generally that has the purple in it and that little bit of a thump with the ball bearings, walleye will go after. So can't say 100% for sure if this is going to work well for walleye, but I suspect that it'll be just fine. Let's see if it says here, dives to 120, 3 to 6 feet. So 3 to 6 feet is a pretty good depth for walleye. In the spring, this will work really well because they'll be up shallow spawning. I suspect I'll get a few big females on this if in that sort of 4-foot depth range. So that's pretty good. So next up in the mystery tackle box, we have some winged jig from Asmac US. So they're just a big round piece of lead or whatever that is. It's a 3/8 ounce, it looks like. No hooks on it. So this would be something that you throw onto whatever rig you plan on using. So that's kind of interesting. It's just a big weighted blade, basically, is all it is. So that plastic blade, whatever you attach this to, that plastic blade is going to give you some resistance and some action through the water. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. We'll see. So some basic jigs. Small. These are fairly small jigs for walleye. This is probably something I would use more for, some trout or something around here. Generally, that's kind of too small of a jig that I would use. Some hooks. Again, these are very small hooks. I might throw these onto a spinner rig of some sort, but these are fairly small. Again, this is something probably would set up as some sort of small spinner for trout. Walleye would around here. Walleye around here, you're looking at a nice one is 24 inches higher. Master angler is 28 inches, so that's kind of like the size of fish you're going for. So you generally want to go with bigger baits rather than smaller ones. these are a little bit small for what I would use for walleye. Weston Hypo Tees, the real deal, 3.5 inch. These are pretty basic sort of shape. Nice sort of minnow, shad, smelt, whatever it's supposed to be. And you get the one jig with a hook in it. So yeah, I will use those for walleye. Lindy Wally Shad. Gets down to 6 feet. This is a nice shiny lure. It's got a good profile. It's got that, that nice angled bill there for diving. So I could see how it would get deep if you go fast with that angled bill. It's a really shiny color. It's got some nice blue, silver, and green, a little bit of green on the belly. Nothing wrong with that. That's a nice lure for good eating-sized walleye. Next up, we have the Fanatic Baits Larva Soft Plastic. It's a 4-pack. This is an interesting shape of lure. Looks like a larva of some big bug. This would be certain times of the year, around here, the mayfly hatch in particular. This is sort of what you're going to use to mimic that, because the fish pretty much only eat those mayflies and those bugs off the top of the water for that couple-week period. And it's really hard to entice them with anything else. Pretty nice lure, good plastic. I've had Fanatic baits before and I've done well with them. Usually I would use this more for going for the smallmouth bass, not so much for the walleye, because even with the mayflies, the walleye don't feed on the top all that much. But I might try these during that period, just usually when nothing else tends to work. Last up, Double Jeopardy worm rig. Double Jeopardy worm rig. So I got 2 of these. Pre-rigged worm harness that you might throw on a spinner type of setup. But it's got a little tiny jig head here to give you that little bit of weight. So you tie your line in there. And you got the 2 hooks. This would be something that you troll behind you. This wouldn't be something that you sit and jig or anything like that. This would be trolling, and I imagine this worm shape and this tail shape here would give it that nice action through the water. Typically, like I said, this would be sort of a worm harness setup you'd throw on a spinner, so you might even include a blade or something here. But just with the jig head, it works as well, where you just have your main line there and you troll it. So these are pretty popular, like a worm harness is a pretty popular thing around here, and they work well for walleye. So I've never gotten one pre-rigged like this with a little jig head like that. I'm curious to try this out. I think that'll actually work really well, so I'm happy with that. So all in all, not too bad for a walleye box. Again, not too happy with everything in here. There's these small hooks in particular, the small jig heads, the larva thing where the walleye don't go strong after those like say a bass would. It's kind of a mixed bag here. So next up we have the RLM Elite. I've been looking forward to opening this now. They claim that it is the biggest and best box on the market, of course, like every company does. We're going to put that to the test here. It's obviously the biggest one that I get. The other companies, Mystery Tackle Box, has their box. You can see I got a fair amount out of the Mystery Tackle Box. Lucky Tackle Box is putting out some pro tournament series elite box as well. I'm not sure the count or what size it's going to be for that. But for right now, this will be the biggest on the market. We're going to open it up. We're going to see if it's quality. Big does not always necessarily mean better, depending what we get in here. So we'll open this up, we'll take a look, and we'll put their claims to the test. While I'm getting into this box, again, don't forget, hit that button down there if you haven't yet. Like, subscribe, check out our social media, all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in here to get through. Let's take a look here. Smart Baits card with their just sort of descriptions of different shapes. They got some tips on the back, different color tips and where to fish and stuff. So that's kind of neat. I got one of these before and it was pretty handy actually. I kept it on my kayak with me until I lost it in the water. And of course, got the Smart Baits card, so I get the Smart Baits plastics. Smart Bait is something that I've looked at before. I've gotten them in previous boxes. Their thing is, their slogan is color changes everything, and their gimmick is that the lures, the plastics that they have, change color in the water. I'm not a big fan of that because it feels very gimmicky and it seems very gimmicky, and it didn't seem to really have any major effect on the fishing, on the, you know, how successful I was. But I do really like their plastics. Color changing aside, just their plastic quality itself is very nice, and the action that I get on their soft plastics, the way that they're molded, the shapes that they use, I've been really, really successful. So you know, I don't care for the color changing thing, but I really like the plastic, so I'm happy to get these. They start off as this orange, this deep orangey red sort of color, and they got black sort of speckles in there. It's a really nice color. And then as you heat them up, as they heat up, you can see they change into more of a lighter green, yellowy color. So, you know, kind of neat, like I said, but really nice tail on these. They got that nice split tail. Good action on these. Happy to get those. The Venom. Looks like we got some Venom brand. Some more sort of that Senko style worm. So again, I love getting worms like this. They work so well on smallmouth bass around here. And this particular color of worm, so it's got the big twister tail, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's got red sparkles. It's a black plastic with red sparkles. So this particular color of worm is really, really good for smallmouth bass here, but the walleye actually like these red sparkles as well, to like those. So this will be good for bass and walleye. The Enticers Strike Pro Finesse Grubs, 3-inch finesse grubs. So this is a brand I'm not familiar with. These are kind of neat. These are, they call them a finesse grub. So this would be something I'd throw on a jig. It's a nice firm plastic. It's a really fat sort of grub shape. And then it's got the little twister tail on there. It's a nice sort of color. It's sort of a, you know, reddish, cleary sort of red color. A little bit of a pink. But it's got blue sparkles in there, blue and silver sparkles. I might be able to get a walleye to bite on that, but the smallmouth bass around here would go for something like that for sure. So you get some terminal tackle as well, so offset, wide gap hook. Next up, we have the Biospawn genetically engineered baits. Interesting. Plasma tail, enhanced with bioscent. So I guess that's where the genetically engineered comes from. I'm not familiar with these. I haven't had these before. So Biospawn. So these are kind of neat looking. They got the plasma tail. And again, these are sort of a Senko worm type. I'd throw this on a jig for sure, or I'd throw it on a weedless hook setup and pull it through the weeds. It's got this bright tip on the tail, which the smallmouth bass in particular around here really seem to like. So that's neat. The color itself, you know, sort of a basic greeny brown color. It's got black flecks in it. It's pretty stretchy. Stretches out pretty far. I'm not sure. It is really, really thin. Really, really thin here on the back end, and I imagine after one good chomp, that would be done, and I'd have to switch it up. But it's hard to say. So it's a 5-pack. I imagine I'll go through those pretty quick. So they're cool, but would have been nice to have a little bit of a bigger package for those. Next up is Sebile Magic Swimmer. Magic Swimmer. 4.5 inches, fast sinking. As you can see, it's a jointed lure, so it's got the 3 segments to the body, but it's got a nice profile to it. Seems like the joints have a pretty nice, smooth action. So that works out pretty well. And then it's just this nice gold color with a lot of sparkle in there. So it actually looks, it's got, actually, you know what it is? It's a baby walleye. It's got the hump on the head there like that, and it's just that color. It looks like a walleye. And like I said, it looks like a baby walleye. Pike will go after this for sure. That'll be a really good pike lure. Next up, Len Thompson spoon. Len Thompson makes fantastic spoons. Sort of a common sort of pattern to get on a spoon. Pike will go after this, walleye will go after this, bass will go after this, trout will go after this. Those are always handy to have. Next up, we have the MEPS Cyclops UV 10 fish attracting reflective surfaces. This is a small little MEPS spoon. I've used MEPS Cyclops spoons before with a lot of success. The ones I have are all bigger than this. I've never used a small one like this. You just get that big, sharp hooks obviously, big wavy sort of pattern. It's a nice blue and silver color on here. It's got the little, you know, the red eye on it. Smallmouth bass will go after these. Walleye will go after these every now and then. I've caught lake trout on something similar to this. Smaller trout as well will go after these, and of course pike will go after these. Pike will go after anything. Gibbs Deadly Darter. So this is a small little lure. So this is just a small little chunk of silver metal and no pattern on it or anything. It's very shiny and just got a neat little profiled sort of a diagonal cut piece of metal there and a little hook on it. So this would be something that I would throw in for trout. So if I'm in a trout lake or a trout pond, so that's kind of neat. Wow, this is a huge, huge lure. Magnum. This is a Rapala X-Rap Magnum dive bait. Dives down to 20 feet. I know what this is for. This is huge. So around here, there's only one thing that's going to go after this, and that's going to be pike. This is going to catch some pike for sure. Huge hooks on it. Good big hooks for those big jacks. Or you know what? Where I'm going in the spring to the Woodland Caribou Park, there's one lake there that we will be fishing for muskie. So this is a good size. I'd throw it in if I'm trying to catch some muskie as well. But definitely pike will go after this. And you can see the huge diving bill on here. That's going to scoop up a lot of water. Big split ring, big hooks, big connections. You'd throw this out on some pretty heavy gear. Good profile, neat colors. It's got that holographic foil inside. I'm not sure if it's going to reflect it or not. Got the stripes on it, the dark top, and then the white belly, and it looks really good. It looks, you know, like a big bait fish. Well, the hooks on this thing are just solid. It's one thing that I'm noticing right away. They're sharp, obviously, but just they're beefy. They're beefy, beefy hooks. Just a massive lure. I really like getting that because I am sorely lacking in big lures for big pike. So it's always nice to get something like that. And with a big box like this, obviously they have the space, you know, to put in something like that. So that's one of the perks. Even though these boxes are only going to be every couple months and they're pricier, one of the perks is that you get the space to get things like this. So it's really cool to see something like that. I cannot wait to catch a big northern on something like that. And then lastly, we have a package of Johnson jigs with swimming grubs on them. So these are just pre-rigged jig heads with grubs on them. They're that nice orange color. Orange jig heads, orange grubs. They got the twister tails on there. You get a pack of pack of 5. This is your basic walleye sort of jig. So you throw these out for walleye, smallmouth bass as well. So that's a lot of stuff in this box. So that's everything in the boxes. I have a lot of tackle here now between the 3 of them. As you can imagine, I'm going to spend some time cleaning that up and sorting it out and putting it into all my tackle trays. But how did they compare to each other? How did they actually perform? Well, you know, it's hard to compare different brands, and they come from different places and everything. But going back to the start, the things that I'm actually looking for. So the value of compared to what I paid. Good value, for, you know, you get a lot of lures, you get a lot of different things in the mystery tackle box, you get a lot of different things for what you pay in the Lucky Tackle box, you get a huge amount of stuff in the RLM Elite box. So the value of all of them, it's pretty comparable, it's pretty good. I'd recommend any of these for getting new fishing lures. You know, for what you pay, you're going to get pretty good value for your buck. Now, variety of lures. There was a good variety in all of them. You know, obviously this one had a lot more lures than the others, but for the amount of lures that you get in the mystery tackle box, you get a pretty good mix of different things. You get a little, you know, you get the soft baits, the hard baits, the terminal tackle, etc. Same thing with the bass box from Lucky Tackle box. I got the attractant, which is cool, the liquid attractant. You get the hard baits, the soft baits, some terminal tackle, all that stuff. And then of course you get a good mix of soft baits, hard baits, everything in the RLM Elite box as well. So again, all fairly equal in that regard. Now, the more important thing, do they do what they say they're going to do? Is this going to let me catch a bunch of walleye in this area? Is this a good multi-species box? Is this a good bass box? So let's talk about the bass box first. This was pretty good for bass. Pretty much everything in this box will let me go out and catch bass in this area that I'm in. So again, southeastern Manitoba. It's going to be different for different areas. This fishing is always different depending on where you were. For myself, there's good bass lures in here. The attractant was really nice. I think that'll work pretty well for bass. The worms, everything in here was pretty good for bass. I like it. The jig heads with the wings on it, something that I don't typically use for smallmouth bass in here. And then the terminal tackle is a little bit on the small side as well. But overall, a pretty good bass box. No major complaints there. The mystery tackle box is a walleye box. Now, is this going to catch walleye around here on everything that I got in this box? This one fell a little bit shorter in that regard. So this one, it had the small terminal tackle, the small hooks that I typically wouldn't use for walleye around here. Had the larva plastics, which will be good for bass. I might catch some walleye on them, but not something I would typically throw. And the small little jig heads are just, they're too small. That's something I would use around here for trout. It's not, so there's three things out of the box that I typically around here would not use for walleye. Might be different in other areas, again, depending on where you fish. So it's a little bit hit and miss with this box as far as, doing what it advertises as far as being a walleye species-specific box. So that leaves the RLM Elite. This is a multi-species box. Is it going to let me catch a multitude of species? Yes, it is. As you could see when I was doing the unboxing, it's got small little things that I'll use for trout. The little darter thing will be really nice for rainbow trout. It's got the big, massive hard bait in it that is going to be great for pike. It's got a mix of hard baits that'll be good for either bass or walleye. And of course, everything is almost good for pike. So it's hard to judge on that. But, the hard baits are a good mix, bass and walleye. And then soft plastics, it's a good mix of soft plastics. So there was ones that were more walleye specific, the jig heads with the grubs on them. There's ones that are more bass specific, so like the Senko worms. And then the little spoons, the Mepps little spoon there will be great for trout again. So I got a really good variety here. I'm going to be able to take just this box and go out and catch some big pike on that big massive Rapala. I'm going to go out and be able to catch some small little trout, rainbow trout, brown trout, brook trout on some of those small spoons and that small little darter. I'm going to be able to catch smallmouth bass. I'm going to be able to catch walleye. So this really, out of the three boxes, the RLM Elite, I suspect just because it's so massive, was the best at achieving its goal of being a multi-species box. Second place for me would be the bass box from Lucky Tackle Box. I haven't got any experience with their walleye boxes or any of their other species-specific ones, but if the bass box specific one is any indication, I think that would be good for any of their other species as well, if they maintain this sort of quality. And then last place is the Mystery Tackle Box Pro Walleye species-specific one, because there was just a few lures in there that are really not going to be useful at all for the walleye. So there you have it. This was a big video. I have a whole bunch of tackle now from all three of these, and you get a little taste of, if you're shopping around, what you can expect out of these three companies. My recommendation is going to be either Lucky Tackle Box, if you need more of a budget box. If you want to just get a lot of lures at a really great value and you want to get them, you don't mind getting it every couple months, and you want a good mix of hard baits and a good species focus, obviously you're not going to be able to go wrong with the RLM Elite. Simplefishing.ca to pre-order those. They come out starting in April. LuckyTackleBox.com to order those, and MysteryTackleBox.com to get a Mystery Tackle Box. You can get the Pro or the regular edition, various species. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun comparing these boxes. Opening all three up together was interesting, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. I'll probably do this every 2 months when I get my RLM Elite. I'll probably continue to do these in the off months individually in their own respective videos. You can find more of those videos, speaking of, by checking out the rest of the channel. Like, subscribe for regular notifications when I put up new videos. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/TrueNorthWilds, Instagram @TrueNorthWilds, and check out our website, truenorthwilds.ca, where I will be writing about all my outdoor adventures. You can look at past ones, you can look at upcoming ones, you can look at reviews of gear that I've done already, all that fun sort of stuff. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you outside.